All right, guys. So welcome to another podcast. Welcome to the 5 a.m. grind. Horace, what's up, man?
Nothing much, man. What's up with you?
Yeah, same old. It's all right.
Enjoying the great weather outside?
Great weather. Hoping that the ski resorts are opening soon in Ontario.
Oh, wow.
Did you know that in Ontario is the only province in North America where the ski resorts were actually closed? They were open in like Quebec. They're open in
Even during the
the
lockdown?
West Coast. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Like in the U.S. as well. Like everything was open. Colorado, like Park City, Utah, all these other places in the U.S. were open.
Oh, I thought
It was just our province that
Oh.
that closed ski resorts.
I was under the impression that it was closed everywhere.
Yeah, no, it just does. But it's reopening, so I'm excited for that. All right, so I thought for this episode we talk about an age-old topic. You know, it's the one that generates a lot of discussion, and that is being smart versus hard work. So smart versus hard work, right? And I thought we'd cover it in the following manner. In your opinion, what's more important, hard work or being smart? That's number one. Second question, do you consider yourself smart? Number three, is being smart something that comes naturally to you or can you develop it over time? And lastly, is being smart correlated to success? All right?
Yeah.
So let's go to the first one then. In your opinion, what's more important, hard work or smarts?
Hard work.
Okay?
Yeah.
So why do you say that?
Just because I feel like in order to gain success, and this might sound weird, you don't necessarily have to be smart,
Yeah.
but you always need to be working hard.
Yeah.
Always. You cannot, you cannot survive without hard work. I think that even if you're like a trust fund kid, right, and your parents just leave you a boatload of money, if you're not hardworking, that money's gonna go. You're just not gonna know how to keep it. So you always need to be hardworking. Smart, that's debatable.
Right. So the way I would answer this question is, to me, hard work can make you smart.
Yeah.
And that's really life's
Yeah.
biggest hack, or the biggest hack you're looking for in life. If you're looking for a hack on how to become smart, is that if you work hard enough at something and long enough, eventually you'll become really smart at it. You'll become good.
Yeah.
You'll become good.
Yep.
That's what it is. I was actually reading a story about Larry Bird, the basketball player.
Mhm.
So you remember Larry Bird, but he played with Jordan, Magic Johnson, all the other greats. I don't know how true this is, but I read this from a book. It said that Larry Bird used to get up in the morning and used to shoot 500 free throws. He used to be he wasn't athletically gifted or anything
Yeah.
like that, but he used to shoot 500 free throws before going to school. That's how he really perfected becoming a good basketball
Yeah.
player. Because he said, I'm not naturally gifted, nothing like that. I just had to work really hard at it, and
Yeah.
that's how I became good.
Yeah, I find that, and I could be dead wrong, and maybe this is just what I've experienced, but I find that if you're below, certain level of IQ or whatever, obviously, you won't be able to pick up things quick, and so you really have to. I'm not saying when I say below like the 100 level, right? You're not considered smart.
Yeah.
All right. I would say, but if you get too high, those people aren't ready for that success as well. And when I say success, I'm defining it more as like material success that you can kind of quantify, right? Whether it's like you're an athlete or whether it's in business or anything else. And I feel like this is a bit controversial. I just feel like people who are just enough smart, all right, but really hardworking, those are the ones who get the furthest. Because I feel like the ones who don't have that big of an IQ or high of an IQ, big of an IQ, but those guys are not going to have maybe the aptitude to understand a certain idea, a certain concept or whatever. And sometimes the ones who are smart, sometimes like really smart, I feel like they get an idea so fast that it kind of gets them bored and they move on and jumping from one thing to the next. And I feel like those individuals also don't have depth of knowledge. They may have breadth of knowledge because they don't stick around long enough to really understand something to its fullest.
Right.
And so I feel like if you are just smart enough, right, and incredibly hardworking, that's like the recipe for success.
Yeah.
Not that it is like the only recipe for success. I do feel that if you have a higher IQ, yeah, you could be successful. I'm just saying that's what I find or what I see is what comes together for great success.
Yeah. Do you think smart is sort of defined in the wrong way? Because we usually define it as IQ, etc. But there are different types of smarts, right? There's smarts in communication, in just aptitude, and other things as well. I think society in general takes a very narrow view of the word smart. It's just IQ, performance in school, whatever can be measured. But I think smarts is not just that. You know, it's experience as well, the way you interact with the people, communication, presentation. It's all of these things that make you smart.
So when I was defining, I guess, smart, I was saying you need a relatively, like you need some level of IQ to understand the domain knowledge of wherever you're, like whichever domain you're participating in. So that should always be there. But then outside of that, when I say smart, I mean like if within that domain, within that field that you're working in, if you need to have, like if it's heavily focused on IQ, then to have a higher than average IQ. Or if it's heavily focused on EQ or you need that, then it's having a higher than average EQ. But I do feel that, 100%. There's a lot of, and like when I say smart, it's not even just IQ, EQ, that is involved as well. But whatever type of knowledge is required for that field is being above average, slightly above average on that one.
Yeah. It's a good point. One thing I've also noticed, for example, just the guys that I follow, influencers, business people, etc. There was one vlogger I really like, Yoon Olsen on YouTube. I don't know. I've probably shared some of his videos with you. The guy is a skier from Sweden, now turned into YouTube personality and has other businesses on the side, etc. But him too, he wasn't very good in school, and he actually admits that in one of his videos. But he's done incredibly well for himself. That's because he is really hardworking. He's got his YouTube channel. Yeah. He's got a business on the side, like that does backpacks, etc. He's launched another clothing brand. He's completely monetized everything that he has to generate different sources of income and really build wealth in a remarkable way. So it goes to show that he's not the smartest person, but he's certainly hardworking. And that has gone him quite far in life.
Well, smart, like, how do you define smart there?
Like, the smart there, bless you. I'm defining smart there as, in the traditional sense. He wasn't smart in school, but he's clearly hardworking and smart in other ways that have benefited him greatly in his life. Right? Yeah. So just in the conventional sense that people say, oh, smarts is just in school, like this person
like
has
IQ.
a IQ. Yeah. Very, very traditional sense. Let's move on to the next question then. Do you consider yourself smart? Putting you on the spot here.
I would say my intelligence is average.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I'd say the same. Nothing special here.
But it's like, I would say then I tend to maybe work a little bit longer than most people. Not most. I really don't know, man.
Yeah, no, it's hard to say. It's hard to say for me too. I don't know if
I say here and be like, you know what? Either I'm like really smart or like I work hard. I always see myself and I say I could always work harder. I could work longer, and that I could always be smarter. That's just basically, I guess, my answer to that question.
I think for me too. I think average intelligence, maybe I don't know, slightly below average. I don't know. And the thing about me is that I'm not naturally gifted. I just tend to stick with things and just figure them out and spend time with them. And then eventually I'll get it, understand it, and then I can move forward accordingly. I'm not naturally gifted in any way. Would you say that about yourself too? Are you naturally gifted?
I don't think I'm naturally gifted.
Yeah.
I think that I see a lot of people in my life. They're very good at understanding things, and I can see that they at first glance they can understand a topic much faster than me.
Yeah, right. I've seen that too. Sometimes I'm like, whoa, break it down here, like step by step.
Yeah. So then for me, it's like a reality check. So I'm like, okay, I just need to kind of slow down. But then at the same time, and this is why I kind of came to the conclusion with what I said earlier, same individuals who can understand something quickly, they don't have the depth of knowledge. Right. It's like, I understand something, and then they feel like that's it. Because they understand enough of it, they mistake it for all of it. So because they understand something that's like 10, 20, like if I understand 0% in the first hour of reading something and somebody else understands like 10, 20%, they will mistake that 10, 20% to 100% because they got that instant gratification and they're not used to kind of moving and really fighting themselves to really understand it to its depth.
So are you kind of implying here that being too smart is a bit of a curse?
Yeah,
Do you
I
think it
definitely
is?
think so. I would definitely say so. Definitely say so. Because most things,
You
not
get
most
in your
things, I
way?
would say every single thing, you can, it's an iceberg thing, right? Where it's like, okay, 30% of it is apparent. 70%, the majority of it is underwater. You have to spend a lot of time trying to figure out, especially if you want to get to the bottom of that iceberg. Anybody, doesn't matter how intelligent you are, right? You have to be spending and sacrificing a lot of yourself, a lot of your time, a lot of your brain cells, energy, right? You have to really give it all you've got to understand it to its depth, if that's how far you want to go. And so if like you're somebody who is just kind of chugging along, you get used to it. If you put in that effort to understand something, that okay, I'm not going to understand it right away. Like we both know, we have to put in that time, right? It's not about like I'm not gonna say I'm never gonna understand it. I'm just saying that it's gonna take me a bit of time, right? But I'm willing to invest that time, right? But a lot of people, not a lot, like a lot of the intelligent people who see the iceberg in the beginning, right? I might look at the iceberg, I don't know what it is. Is that a wall? Is it like a light? I have no idea, right? Now, if somebody who's really intelligent, they see that iceberg and they say, this is an iceberg, and they can understand what they're seeing relatively quickly, sometimes that's it. They get that instant gratification, and they do get in front of their own way, and they don't want to see what's left and what's really the rest of this iceberg when that is a majority of what you're seeing.
I think I've made that mistake myself, to be honest. Like sometimes you look at something, you're like, oh, I've understood this, no problem, let me move on.
Yeah.
And then it comes and hits you in a certain manner, and you're like, whoa, I actually didn't understand this. I
Yeah.
need to spend more time with this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that definitely happens. Definitely happens. I like a certain quote that I found here on this particular topic, and it says that this was a quote that I found in Carol Dweck's book. It's called Mindset. It's actually a book that was recommended by Satya Nadella, the current CEO of Microsoft. It's just about having a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. And the idea behind this book is that a growth mindset is someone who thinks that intelligence isn't fixed. It's something that is malleable, and you can change it and you can grow it. While someone with a fixed mindset thinks that everybody's naturally gifted. You're good at basketball because you were naturally gifted. And to a certain extent, to sometimes that's certainly true, but I would argue that in life, anything can be thought, practiced, and then learned with a certain degree.
I mean, it's just like your body, right? Like how strong you are, everybody's born with a different kind of base strength.
Yeah.
Lack of better words. But then everybody could also work out, and they can become stronger. So everybody has a range. It's not like it's stuck to one place or fixed. Right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I can bench press anywhere between 100 pounds to like 300 pounds, depending on how much I work out and all of that. Same thing with intelligence. It's like a muscle. Even I think wasn't it? It's in one of the Malcolm Gladwell books where they're talking about. I think it was Outliers. Was it
Right.
Outliers where they're talking about
10,000 hours?
There's 10,000 hours. There was. He goes on about how like they were saying how people in higher income neighborhoods that their children were just more intelligent, but in reality it wasn't the case. It was that like over the summer. During the school year, all the kids, whether you're in a poor neighborhood or a rich neighborhood, their intelligence, when measured from the start of the year to the end of the year, grew the same amount. The biggest difference was the summer. In higher income neighborhoods, it just happened that parents spent more time with the kids, and the kids were constantly learning during the summer, which is like 1/3 of the year. You're off for 4 months, right, or 3 months or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But in lower income neighborhoods, the parents had to be working, and they couldn't afford to spend that time. And so the kids were kind of out having fun or whatever it was. So they would actually come back, and instead of like having even starting where they left off, whether it's reading comprehension or math or whatever, they'd actually have forgotten. So now they have to come back up, and then they have to go and start learning more. Whereas the kids in the higher income, they finished the school year at one step. They were actually at a higher step because they're learning through
the summertime.
Yeah, and then they kept going. So if you compound that over 12 years, it makes a huge
difference. Absolutely. Yeah. The
Very
richer
huge.
parents invest in tutoring,
Yeah.
their kids
Yeah.
themselves, etc. Yeah,
Yeah.
it makes that difference for sure. So I guess we'll move on to the third question. It's a good segue, and I think we've covered this somewhat. Is being smart something that comes naturally, or can you develop intelligence? And I think what we're saying here is the latter.
Yeah.
You can develop intelligence, right?
I mean, there is some natural, but you can definitely develop.
Yeah, for sure. Give me some examples of like people you think have natural intelligence. Have you met someone like that? That they're just naturally gifted, naturally really quick and smart?
I mean, I can't say if they're naturally good in an absolute sense. I
Yeah.
can say relative to me.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
They pick
okay.
up things quickly.
Yeah.
Right? And so I don't know. I feel like most people that I surround myself with will pick up things quickly. They'll
Yeah.
pick up things faster than I would. I'm one of those individuals who really, when I see something, I have more questions than answers.
Yeah.
And it takes time for me to just reflect on what I'm looking at to really understand like how deep this iceberg goes and how everything looks.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so I don't know if it's an absolute sense. I can't give you an answer.
Yeah.
But like relatively, I could, it's based on how quickly I can understand something.
Yeah, for sure. I think for me as well, I've very much been in the develop intelligence category.
Yeah.
Even myself, let's take this podcast as an example. Public speaking, being able to hold a conversation for a long time, monologuing, etc. It's not something I was really good at. I did this podcast because I wanted to become better at communication, public speaking, being able to hold a monologue, and do it in a manner that is convincing to my audience, expressing my points in an intellectual manner, in a manner that's concise, articulate, etc. That's certainly isn't something that you practice every day, and I'd wanted to hone in on, which is why I started this podcast, right? It's because I know that eventually, over time, it's not a skill set that I'm naturally born with, but it's something that I can work on, improve, and then become better at.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's one of the big hacks in life. All right, so we'll go to our last question. I want to really spend some time on this one because I think this one is quite interesting, and that is being smart correlated to success? Does being smart equal success in life?
No, I mean, I would stick to my answer in the beginning. It's good to have smarts. It definitely makes the journey easier.
Yeah.
But it's definitely hard work that I would personally think is like correlated to success in any sense of the word, whether it's like, again, entrepreneurship, whether it's any even intellectual endeavor, anything like that. I feel like hard work is the key to everything. I mean, undergraduate studies, masters, PhDs, I feel like a lot of those things are just putting in the time. If you want to have a good LSAT score to get into law school, or MCAT score for medicine, if you want to write your CPA, CA exams, right?
Yeah.
It's about, I feel like, putting in time, hardworking. Now, it may take you 10 hours to like memorize something, and it may take me 15, right? It may make me take longer to do the same thing, but if I am hardworking, it just, in the long run, I will be just completing more things, If you finish something in like 10 hours and you're like, I got this, and that's it, right? Whereas I finish in 15, and then I move on to the next thing, then move on to the next thing, and move on to the next thing. It's like that analogy with the kids, right? It's like in the summer, right? It's only 3 months, but over 12 years, it has a compounding effect.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Because
it
you're
does.
starting at a different level, and then you're ending at a different level, and it's like it's a huge difference. It's the same thing. So if you're hardworking, right? Like one of the biggest things with hard work and success is you might like be, whenever you start a good example is whenever I'm looking at a business idea, right? Is this going to work? Is this not going to work? In the beginning, it's very difficult to figure out whether a business is going to be profitable. How long would the profitability be? what's the runway for any kind of decent marketing strategy, anything like that, right? It was very difficult for me to understand these metrics in any kind of meaningful way. I, in the beginning, had to jump into things, make mistakes, put in that time. Now, if I look at something, I'm not saying I'd have the perfect answer, but I'd have a decent understanding of what's going on in the market. How if I were to do this, what would I create first? How would I bring it to market? How would the customers know? How would the brand awareness work? How would these funnels work, right? How would the iteration work of whatever I'm creating? So because there's so much work that's been put into all these other areas, it's created a muscle memory intellectually, if that, for lack of better words, that I don't know if that you'd consider that smart, but it is a result of the work that you've put in before.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's very true. When I look at this question about being smart, is smart correlated to success? I go to two things. Number one, I go to the Forbes most richest men list, or excuse me, not most richest men, most richest people in the world. They tend to be men. But yeah, no, Forbes richest list of people around the world, right? If you look at that list, I bet there are a lot of people on there who aren't the smartest in school. And I covered this in a previous podcast as well. For example, Ray Dalio wasn't the smartest in math class or investing class or accounting class, but he is one of the richest people in the world and runs one of the most successful hedge funds. That goes to show you that being smart in the conventional sense in school doesn't correlate to success. And there are plenty of examples in that list. Plenty of examples.
Dude, Ray Dalio, I don't remember this 100%.
Yeah.
But I do remember reading his story, and he said that how I don't know which market crashes, his whole fund went bankrupt.
And
he had to make the decision again. And he had kids at that point, and he had to make a decision whether he's going to go find a job or is he going to try this thing again. And he took on a loan from his dad and tried it again.
Yeah, fantastic.
It's hard work, man.
It is hard work.
He's like, okay, I messed it up before.
For sure.
I'll figure it out now. I'll do it again.
Yeah, so that's one example. Just look down that Forbes most richest people in the world list and see which ones are actually smart. And you'll notice there's no correlation. And number two is that in life as well, you've noticed this, I've noticed this, going through life, when you meet high-ranking executives, CEOs, etc., you look at them and you sometimes see that this person who is CEO, sometimes the person that lands in that seat is not necessarily the smartest person in the organization, right? They tend to have other qualities as well. They tend to be good communicators, good presenters, etc. Right? It's not necessarily the smartest person that ends up in that seat. And that's going through life, you realize, okay, well, in life, you could be really smart, but sometimes the opportunity doesn't come up for a promotion, so you don't get promoted, or someone else gets put into the place because they're better in other ways that you're not. So it's not necessarily smarts that equal success, even in careers and just progression within a company.
I got a question though.
Yeah,
it's a bit of a controversial question.
Okay, go for it. Yeah.
Okay, for all those individuals that are maybe listening to this, maybe not, maybe they'll listen to this in the future, but that are working and they feel like they want to start a business, right? And they feel like they're smart enough to start a business, but they're not going to leave their job, right? And their job, they're kind of stuck on a dead end because whatever, they were passed on for a promotion and they constantly are being passed on. Do you think those guys are really smart?
Oh, that's controversial. I don't know.
I would say, if you're in that situation, and you're listening to this, right, you should be making
you should be making a change.
Yeah, making a change, taking chances.
Yeah.
Right. If you are smart, okay, if you are who you say you are, right. Firstly, I don't think promotions are passed up if you've got a smart person around, right? You find a place. For me, all the guys that I'm working with, right? I'm thinking, okay, this person would be really good over here. I need to create something for them. Sometimes they create it for themselves. You get what I mean? Because for me, the business is not like, hey, I'm promoting people and it's just a management pyramid, right? Business is a machine, like an enterprising machine that's meant to bring in money. It's generating money. That's it. Livelihood or whatever. So if I know somebody has great set of skills, I have a vested interest in putting them in a position so that they're successful, and their success is also the organization's success, right? So now if you're not being placed in that position, chances are there's a, disconnect between who you are and who you think you are.
Yeah.
Right? Because now if you're in that situation and you say like you're just a brainiac and whatever, then start a business, right?
Yeah.
If you really do feel that you're overlooked and you have potential, start that business.
Yeah. It's just deep. It's a lot of criticism. It's very controversial. Yeah. No, I know what you mean.
I'm just saying. I just feel like there's a lot of individuals out there who are like, oh, I am A, B, and C. If you're A, B, and C, let's test it out.
If you're really smart, test it out. I think a lot goes into that question as well, because some people are just, they're afraid. They have to go get over themselves, etc. Yeah, it's definitely.
But then, so is fear... Can't you wouldn't you include fear as a part of intelligence? That means that you aren't considered smart if there's
because
fear
you're scared.
involved. Yeah, because you don't see the thing for what it is, which means there's a lack of comprehension and understanding.
Yeah.
In your perspective. So fear could be like, hey, like, okay, so like your intellect may not be at the level where you think it is.
Where you think it is, yeah. Nah, it's a valid point. I'm not going to take you away from it. Yeah, no, it's a valid point. Valid point for sure. I mean, and I guess on this one, like, life isn't, sometimes as a kid, you tend to think life is like a linear graph. It's y equals mx plus b. It's very linear, but you tend to learn that in life, it's not very linear. It's up and down. It's all over the place. Sometimes the person that you think isn't going to be promoted gets promoted because they're well liked in the organization, because other things go into the equation as well. These are, at the end of the day, human decisions, and human decisions aren't completely rational and, linear. They tend to be sometimes non-linear and weird and
but okay, so
crazy as well.
I understand that. Again, something else is going to be controversial. It's okay. So, like you're saying, for example, one thing that you said right now, right, was okay. Well, it may be that somebody favors somebody else. Yeah. Right. But wouldn't they favor them because, and promote them because this person that I favor, right, that I'm friends with, I can trust them. Or I know how they're going to behave.
It's true.
And I know they got my back. Even though if it's a tribal mentality, let's say, and if you're intelligent, you should be able to see that.
Yeah. I mean, it goes to show that book smart is only a part. You don't need to be book smart to 100%, right? Yeah. You can have 40% of the book smarts, but if you're a good communicator, you present well, you get along with people, dude, that's a lot of smarts as well that doesn't get quantified in IQ, right?
I mean,
and that takes you far in life.
In quotes, man, because it's like, it is
It's true. It's true. Right? It is intelligence. Yeah, it's absolutely true.
You have to be able to convey it. You have to be able to convey what
you know. As a CEO, you're a salesperson at the end of the day. You're selling whatever your organization is doing, the services it provides, the products, etc. You're an advocate for that organization. You're a bit of a salesperson. So you need to be a good communicator, a good presenter, etc. Right? You're not going to be, I bet you whenever, like Mark Zuckerberg, I think it says, I was reading somewhere, he's not the best programmer. I'm sure there are programmers at Facebook who are way better coders than Mark Zuckerberg is. But he is the CEO. He is the face of the company. Yeah, he's the founder. And he's the one that's doing everything, right? Yeah. Whatever a CEO does.
No, 100%. It's I think EQ, and this is a different podcast altogether, is a totally different level of intelligence, because you're figuring out what several different people are thinking and try to present something in a way that everyone can see themselves in it.
Yeah. It's interesting, and it's a very other controversial topic that I'm sure we'll cover. I actually think EQ is more important than IQ in life, but we can get into it in another podcast. All right, so final thoughts. Smarts versus hard work.
Hard work all the way.
Yeah, same here. Hard work all the way. Whatever it is that you're trying to do, if you just spend enough time at it, work hard at it, eventually you'll figure it out, and you'll be smart at whatever it is.
Yep. All right, guys.
All right, we'll leave it there.
Take care.
Take you. See you in the next one.
Bye.